Hello lovely learners, welcome back to ALifeLearned. I just wanted to share a quick update regarding a video I made quite a long time ago where I was discussing, comparing basically ODSP and CERB, all of the injustices that are ODSP, and demonstrating that if CERB was possible, then obviously a much more just and fair system for people with disabilities is possible as well. They just politically refuse. I'm gonna link that video below. I can't remember what I called it off the top of my head, but I don't want this to be too long of a video, so I'm not gonna get into looking for the name. The point is, I just wanted to share with everyone something that I kind of thought like everyone knew. I came across it on Reddit, so I'm like, everyone knows it because it's on Reddit, and then I realized not everyone goes to Reddit. So, FYI, ODSP finally got their shit together, at least an itty bitty bit. As of this year, July this year, they are matching the inflation rate each year, or as they put it, the ODSP rates are now tied to the inflation rate. Something that was a complaint in that video of one of the injustices I pointed out was, I did the math, I went back and I looked at the increases of ODSP each year, and I looked at the inflation rate each year, and you could clearly see that they never, ever matched. They were always giving less than the inflation rate each year in terms of increases to ODSP, because you know the cost of living keeps going up. And so I don't know what changed. I don't know why it was this year. Maybe it was the inquiry I made, because I technically started a case through the HRTO, the Human Rights Tribunal of Ontario, and that's one of the things I mentioned, is that they've never matched the inflation rate. But they, if you guys remember from another video, they came back and denied my application and said it was based on being unable to provide a coherent series of events or whatever, because it was just a lot of different issues that I was articulating, and it was hard, and I was doing it by myself, and I just had a lot going on, so I didn't continue pursuing it or trying to send them more like articulate versions. I just took that as like, you can't do this case on your own, and it's not going to work out. And so anyway, don't know exactly what led to it, but the point is, as of this year, July, they've made an announcement that they're going to be matching all inflation rates moving forward. Neighbors. And so this year, that meant in July we got an increase of 6.5%, and what it basically says is that for all future years there'll be an increase in July to match the inflation that was faced. I think they're basically saying over the last 12 months, although that frankly doesn't make sense because we're facing increases like all throughout the year, so should it be at least every 6 months, if not like quarterly? But I don't know. They also mentioned at the bottom of this announcement that there's another increase that just happened in September. So I don't know if that's related to this specifically, or something else that's more just related to catching up from the insane inflation spike that we've seen from the pandemic. But the Conservatives really like to like twist the things that they put on their websites to make them look super great when they're just barely meeting the line. So I take a lot with grain of salt right now when I see it on a government website. But anyways, just wanted to share with you guys that something good finally happened this year, and we're finally not going to keep falling behind. Funny thing, they're not going to like catch up. So like ODSP, Ontario Disability Support Program, started as a program in the year, I believe, 2000, if I remember correctly. Please, it might have been 98. Correct me if I'm wrong. Somewhere in that range. And every year since then, since the first amount that they chose for people to afford their cost of living, every year they have not increased in line, or they have not tied their increases to the inflation rate. So every year since then, what's that, 23 years, we have fallen behind more and more and more in terms of our ability to afford our basic costs, our basic cost of living, right? So they're not catching that up. They're not going to go back and calculate what, you know, we should have by now if they had been matching. No, but as of now, they're like, okay, wherever you are in terms of your absolute poverty or relative poverty, we'll leave you here. We're not going to let you keep falling behind from here. It's like, okay, great. You know, most of us are homeless or bordering on it. definitely can't afford to eat, always relying on the food bank, and going hungry a lot and without a lot of basic things. You know, I don't remember the last time I bought a new clothes or was like able to get clothes when I specifically needed them, and yeah, just a lot of things. But you know, point is, now they're stopping the whole falling behind thing. This is the point they've decided we should only be this poor relative to the cost of living. No more. I don't know. I'm being a little mockery because I think it's silly in one sense. Like, it's good news that they're finally going to start matching inflation. But it's just also dumb that they're not going to catch up with all of the inflation they failed to match in former years. And the numbers are all there. It's all right there. I found it, and I don't have access to, like, you know, private government stuff. That was just publicly posted information. It's all right there if they wanted to catch up. They just not about to do that. But on that other front, if you haven't heard about the federal disability benefit, I don't remember if that's exactly what it's called, but the Canadian federal government has created a disability benefit that's basically supposed to top up our ODSP, and that has been passed. They're just saying that it's like a year and a half away from implementation. So if you hadn't heard about that, totally Google about that. I'm going to put a few links below for you to read more if you want. This video wasn't really about that, but that's another little bit of good news. Although it's like, it's hard to call it good news in the sense that it's like, in a year and a half, I hope you don't die before then. Yeah, so it's another thing. People are fighting to actually try and get like an emergency fund implemented in the meantime, kind of like CERB, while they're working to actually roll it out. But the point is, things are kind of looking up for people with disabilities who specifically can't work and can't supplement their income, because I've been there. I'm finally getting into working again, and only little bits, mind you, but I get it. When you can't supplement the tiny little bit that they give, you just find yourself closer and closer to, well, going from relative to absolute poverty, and just, you know, being homeless and being without, and then the cliff that leaves you off of, like having to rebuild and just get yourself back into housing, is so incredibly difficult. And if they just had have helped you keep housed, you know, a lot of those resources wouldn't have been needed. Anyways, I could rant forever. The point was, inflation's being matched now. Yay! I'm gonna share some links. Please feel free to share your thoughts in terms of what you think, you know, that they're finally doing it. Do you think they're far too late? What else do you think they should be doing to improve the ODSP program? What do you think about the federal benefit that's coming out and how long they're going to take to implement it? And just overall, disability rights, because that's certainly a thing that's still up in the air, it seems. They wanted the AODA fully implemented by 2025, which is, you know, only like a year and a half less away. So I guess we'll see how that goes. But please, as always, do share your thoughts and feelings and stories below. And join me again next week or sometime soon, where I try again to share a little something I've learned or experienced in life.